Have you ever wondered about the journey of a leader? What drives them? Motivates them? What pivotal moments help direct them on the road to success? Join us weekly for real conversations, empowering stories, and impactful insights that is sure to take you on an engaging adventure. Here, on the road with Yemi Akande-Bartsch. Today's podcast is brought to you by Jim Butler Auto Group, your local automotive powerhouse. Buckle up as we pick up Ola Ayeni, founder and president of Claim Academy.
I almost feel like it was yesterday when you moved to the city.
Yes.
And our mutual friend, Betsy Cohen, said, Yemi, there's this gentleman that you have to meet. And I thought, okay, where's he from? What business? And she said, he's from Nigeria. And I was like, okay. I was expecting what would come next, that perhaps you know him. But that was not what happened. And would you believe that when we eventually met and we started talking, it turned out that we grew up a mile away from each other in Nigeria. What are the odds of that?
It's very rare to meet someone that you've not seen for a long time, you've never seen or never met.
Right.
And then come, 15 hours flight to another part of the world, and then you now meet each other and you're like, yeah, we grew up in the same area. What happened?
Exactly. and here we are. I think it's one of those things that they say about the confluence of St. Louis.
Right.
You have people from all over the world here,
right,
in a way that's just amazing, and actually all over the country here as well.
Right.
So let's dive in. I was thinking that there are a lot of people in our lives that often help shape who we become. And who would you say is the first person to see potential in you? And how have they impacted your journey?
I would say that's my father, my dad. My dad was a very larger-than-life man who he was a disciplinarian, believed a lot in family. He has a big family.
Yes.
But one of the things he always encouraged us to do was to go for greatness. And part of his little way of encouraging that is he would ask us to read newspaper to him. I remember when
Your dad did that too?
Yeah.
So did mine.
He would ask me to come down to his living room and say, okay, go and get the newspaper, read it to me, and I will start reading. He will correct it if I say something. Then he will ask me, what did you read and what did you understand by that? That is the first lesson I learned about public speaking.
Wow.
Right? He will correct it, and he would tell us, and my brothers and my sisters, go and learn this saying, this wise saying, and then come back and recite it.
Right.
And we will have to learn that and recite it to him. If you don't know how to do it, he will encourage you to do it. But it was mandatory for all of us to do that. He was also he was a teacher early on in his life before he became a businessman. So all my summers, I wasn't allowed to just play around during summer. I had to work in one of my father's businesses.
Wow.
I learned how to negotiate with people. I learned how to pitch a sale, which became natural to me over the years, over the period of my life, whereby when I was in elementary school, I was selling books to my classmates.
Oh my goodness.
It was
You were
all
quite the entrepreneur.
Yeah, it was all because my father had a bookstore, and I learned how to sell books. I learned how to pitch. I know the publishers. I know all of those things, and those are the things that when I go back and just think about it, those are the things that really helped me to shape who I am today. It's my father.
Wow, that's powerful. As I made a comment that your father also made you read the papers. My father also made us read the papers, but we also had to discuss it.
Yes.
And so we were always prepared at the dinner table to talk about whatever was the key headline for the 3 papers. Actually, it was Punch, it was Daily Times, and I forget, there was a third one that unfailingly my dad purchased those papers to make sure that we read it. And, you know, I think you could talk to a lot of Nigerian-raised kids, and they will tell you about the disciplinarian factor.
Oh, these guys were tough.
Yes, they were tough. And, you know, I don't know whether your dad shared this story, but my dad would often share the story that, you know, we used to walk from this city to that city.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, I would say, seriously?
Yeah, you have it better now, so
you do.
So you better take what I give you.
Exactly. And they gave us an opportunity to compare between what they had versus what was possible.
Correct.
And that was just amazing. So if you could think of a defining moment that you would say influences you in your decision making today.
I would say there are several of them, but one particular that comes to mind is there was a time we had to make a big decision, a claim, right?
Right.
And one of the people on my team really did something that cost us one of our biggest partners. And we had students who came from various states to St. Louis using their government program to do this particular training. And because we've lost it, and these guys are already here, I had to make a decision. It's not popular, it's not smart, we're actually going to lose a lot of money.
Wow.
But the decision was we were going to keep all of them here and not charge them for the training, because it's not their fault that we lost that partnership. It is someone on my team who really messed up.
Right.
So that's one thing I can think of right now as major decision that cost us a lot, but it's not popular. It's a tough decision, but as a leader, you have to keep your integrity. You have to not do what is convenient sometimes. You have to do what is right.
Right.
And I think that is what we did, and I wouldn't regret it for anything.
And that's perhaps one of the lessons that you got from your dad.
Yes. My father would go, so my father was a man who honesty, integrity was so important to. And that is one thing also that I realized that defines him when I think about him and his legacy. Honesty. My father was a man that telling the truth, doing the right thing, being a person who has integrity by keeping your word was all important to him. And I tell the same thing to my children today, and I say, listen, you have to keep your word.
Absolutely.
Because that is the only thing you have that works for you. People know you that if the guy say, I'm going to do something, he kept his word and he did it. I don't think that's popular again, but that's something that I got from my father. He will keep his word. If he says he's going to do something, he will do it. And holding to what he believed, which is what is honest, what is true, what is right, I think that is how I've framed my life.
Wow.
Yeah, because of my father.
Those are really great lessons that will carry anybody through, whether it's in their personal life, whether it is in their professional life, or even their community life. Yeah. And it's really, really a valuable lesson. So you and I have both lived in a number of different places, and for perhaps almost coming close to a decade now, you've called St. Louis home.
Yeah.
Is
it's
it
actually
been about a
over.
decade?
No, it's more than that now.
Oh
it's
my
over.
goodness.
I came here in 2013.
Oh wow.
July. So now when you look at it, it's going on to 13 years.
Wow.
Yes.
That is amazing.
Yes.
So what does community mean to you?
Well, community in St. Louis in particular means that we all come together to look out for the common good.
Right.
And how can we make the community where we are better than the way we met it? At the end of the day, I often tell people that we're not going to be remembered by the house we live in, by the car we drive, by the watch we put on our wrist. We're going to be remembered by the impact of what we did in the community to make the lives of other people better. Again, I learned some things about community from my father. My father will bring children that are not his own.
Right.
He will bring cousins. He will bring nieces. He will bring his brothers, his cousins, children, and he will bring them to our home to help to raise them like his own.
It's a very Nigerian thing.
And he will
Yes.
pay for their school. He will pay for everything. And I saw that growing up, and I go, wow, this man will. I mean, I grew up in a house where half of the people living there were not really my parents' children. They were other people's children that he would just say, he gave this person scholarship, they didn't have anything, and he gave them scholarship, but then there's no place the guy can live in. So he brought him to our house.
Wow.
And the guy was sharing room with me.
That's noble.
So,
Very noble.
So we learn to be uncomfortable to help others, right? Because to be vulnerable is part of it also. You know, say, oh, this is my table, this is my chair. Well, I said, I told my kid, I said, that's not your chair, that's not your table, you didn't pay for it. I paid for it, this is my home.
True. Yes.
But you should be able to accommodate other people and to be able to understand that it takes everyone's knowledge, experience, skills to make the environment better for everyone.
Absolutely.
So community is giving, helping.
Right. So we both have called St. Louis home for over a decade now.
Right.
What would you say is one overlooked strength that this city has that we call home?
That's a great question. The city has a lot of really great things, great people, and great community that we need to showcase to the world.
That's correct.
Because I remember when I first came to St. Louis and somebody met me at an event, maybe 2 months after, not quite 2 months. And the guy said, where are you from? I said, well, I just moved here from Chicago. I was beaming with excitement. And he said, why did you move from Chicago to St. Louis? I said, well, I won the Arch Grant and I moved my family here. I'm very excited. And he said to me, there's nothing here. He said, there's nothing here in St. Louis. You need to, why would you leave Chicago to come here?
Right.
He said, he's trying to leave. And I said, wow, there's a lot here.
There is a lot here.
I mean, there's a lot of really great people I've met in just 2 months being here. What do you mean there's nothing here? And I stopped conversing with him because you can't change someone's mind. You have to just, leave them alone and just plug in with what you understand.
That's true.
So there's a lot of really great people. There are great places. There are wonderful things that we can showcase to the world that St. Louis has. And we continue to spread the news about the goodness and the opportunities in St. Louis, because there's a lot.
There is a lot in St. Louis, and one of the first things that my family and I did when we moved over here is we were always losing ourselves in St. Louis. And it really gave me an opportunity to get to know the different neighborhoods, to see how they're connected and sometimes even how they're disconnected. But you are correct. Sometimes we can be our own worst enemies in terms of how we promote our city. But it is a fabulous city. I travel out of town. Sometimes, granted, we have our challenges, but I travel out of town, and whenever I come back, it still feels like home.
That's right. Every city, every community has things that it can improve upon.
Yes.
However, there is the good that must be amplified.
Right.
Because if you focus on the bad, you're not going to grow.
That's true.
But if you can look at those great things happening and we amplify, it actually brings joy. You become proud of what you're doing, who we are, what we do, how we do it. And that brings excitement to the community, because positive energy has a way of exciting people rather than having a negative energy around things.
That is so true. As we're driving around downtown St. Louis, I'm looking at the various buildings, the architecture. I know many of the history of some of these buildings. Some of them weren't even here,
Right.
you know, and it's a beautiful city.
This show is brought to you by Jim Butler Auto Group, your local automotive powerhouse.
What is one thing that you think that people would be surprised to learn about you?
Well, we both share food. That's interesting.
Yes.
I think a lot of people don't know my background, that I went to school. I actually read veterinary medicine. And I'm a doctor of veterinary medicine. I learned it in Nigeria. I went to University of Ibadan, which initially was called University of London in Nigeria,
Right.
early on. And I started doing entrepreneurship while I was in high school and then in college.
Wow.
That I actually paid part of my school fees.
How did you do that? What specifically, what product were you
So
selling?
I was
it the
selling, I
books
started
from your
out like,
dad's
which is great. So
bookshop?
when I was in the university and the veterinary school, I would sell veterinary products to the veterinarians in Nigeria.
Really?
I would travel from Nigeria to England. I would buy veterinary products. I'll bring them and repackage them and then sell it to veterinarians across the country. I would also import products from Germany. I would sell it to people right there. Whether it's canine products, whether it's bovine for horses and cattle, it was all equine, all of it. I was doing all of that. So a lot of people don't know that that's how I started.
I did not know
That
that.
I'm a veterinarian by training. But because I came from a background where my parents were entrepreneurs, I really, really enjoy solving problems, which is what led me, and getting paid for it too, which is fun.
That's not a bad combination. You need to get paid.
Right? And I enjoy finding problems and creating solutions for them. I don't necessarily like, being the one to execute all of it.
Okay,
But
you're the visionary.
I'm the visionary. I like to, that's exactly my strength assessment. They will come out and say, "Hey, Ola, you're a visionary. You come up with all these solutions and ideas, and we can solve the problem, ways to do it better." I say, "Yeah." So that's something that a lot of people don't know about me. That was my background.
Fascinating. And now you are in IT, AI. I follow you on LinkedIn,
right, doing
and I'm seeing all these apps that you're recommending.
Right.
How did you make that pivot from veterinarian to IT? And I know Arch Grants was part of that.
Right. So I think it's all started because when I came to the U.S. Almost 30 years ago now, I wanted to solve a problem, and I was in the veterinary clinic working under another doctor, and I realized that Monday to Saturday I will just work. But then I got bored very quickly.
Sure.
And I wanted to do something that maybe on the side that is fun. So I started out by I would go to artisan events, and I would notice that they are selling products, drums, figures of different things, clothes from Africa. And I said, wow, maybe I could do this for fun. That was the time, after a while, eBay was coming up.
Sure.
And I would buy them and put them on eBay, and I would sell them, and I would make money.
Wow.
Double, sometimes 3 times the amount, or 4 times. I'm like, hey, this is fun. So I started out doing that on the side. It was a lot of fun doing it. And from there, I graduated to selling veterinary products, where I would import a product that actually translates and transmits, or transcribe, let me use the word transcribe, when a dog barks, it will tell you what they're saying in English.
Whoa.
Yep. So I
Whoa.
would import that product from Japan. I'll sell it on eBay. I'll sell it on other websites. I was making money from it. It was a lot of fun. Then I got married. I had children. But what really changed a lot for me was there was a restaurant that was very close to where we lived in Naperville area. And that restaurant, it closed. It's something that my family, my children, would take them there. It's a great family. And I realized that they were closing. And I went back. I was coming from work one day, and I turned around and I went there. I said, "Why are you guys closing?" They said, "Well, we don't have customers. We don't have customers. We only have customers on weekend, and during the week we were dead."
Yeah.
So I went back home. I started researching restaurants. What was the problem they had? I realized that, now that we have new technologies, restaurants that used to just open up a place and rely on the food and expect people to come. Well, once we have internet and we have social media, that became something that no one can afford. If you don't promote and people don't know you're there, that's
don't
it.
get customers.
You don't get customers.
That's right.
So I went back to them. They closed, and I said, "Can you tell me other restaurants around?" And they introduced other people. I said, "I will go to the restaurant in the evening when I'm coming from work. I will say, if there's something problem that you have that you're trying to solve that you can't solve, will you be willing to pay me for it if I solve it for you?"
Just like that.
Just like that. And then I would start hearing, "Well, we can't get people to come here." I said, "Well," so I started finding out how can I help them to get people in. I started the first company like that, and I realized that I could put together a bunch of technologies, partner with Cisco Foods, started selling the products,
Wow.
and we came from there. The rest is history.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And you applied for Arch Grants?
And then,
you came here?
so yep, I applied for Arch. I started that, grew it to a couple of over $1 million. Then started another one, Italia, and then applied for Arch Grant and won Arch Grant, won Miller Core business plan competition, won Microsoft, won a bunch of things where I don't have to give out any equity.
Right.
About $210,000 worth of non-equity winnings. And then I said, okay, then I moved to St. Louis.
Right.
And then I started there. And then I ended up, from there, we became the second fastest startup in St. Louis in 2014.
Wow.
But we couldn't find software developers.
Gotcha.
And then I said, I'm going to solve that problem too.
And
That's what started Claim Academy.
Wow. That is a powerful and inspiring story. So for entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs that are out there, where there's a will, there is certainly a way.
Right.
And so what advice would you have for budding entrepreneurs when they're thinking about starting a business?
Well, I would say that entrepreneurship is not a linear. You don't have linear growth. You have ups and downs. If you believe in the product and you believe that there's an opportunity of a product market fit, don't give up because you will face tough times. And don't give up. Make sure you save money for rainy days. Everything doesn't have to be. You have to, depending on if you have a business, you don't have to raise a lot of capital to start. Especially now that we have in the age of AI,
That's
you
true.
can literally start things using all types of technologies overnight now. I mean, there are people who just open up a YouTube channel or TikTok and they're selling stuff and they made millions out of it.
Right.
So the barrier to entry is very low now, but you just have to consistently reinvent yourself and not give up.
Those are wise words. Whenever you and I get together, we talk for hours.
We talk a lot.
And we're trying to figure out ways in which we can continue to amplify the impact of the work that we're doing
Right.
in our community and how we can continue to bring people along.
Right.
And this is about, it's a continuation of our always ongoing conversation.
Right.
And I think about the fact that leadership is about leaving something behind. Whether it's an idea based on our conversation today, whether it's a spark, or whether it's a sense of purpose in how you talk about having that power of focus to be able to accomplish whatever it is a person is seeking to do is
Right.
certainly inspiring. So this has been a really great ride around
It's
the
a lot
city.
of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yes, and to my listeners, I hope you found today's ride inspiring to you. And to Ola, thank you so much
My
for
pleasure,
being part of
Yemi.
this
Thank you for having me.
journey. And keep on amplifying.
Thank you.
Until next time, I encourage you to keep on leading with purpose.
Every road leads somewhere, and every conversation sparks change. Thanks for joining me on this ride with Ola Ayeni, founder and president of Claim Academy. Let's keep the conversation going, on the road and beyond. See you next time on the Road with Yemi Akande-Bartsch. This show is brought to you by Jim Butler Auto Group, your local automotive powerhouse.